compared to 2007 when we did our first and existing plan. But one of those that I'm really happy about is that we have Dave Chanda and Stephanie Hussey from the Recreational Boating and Fishing Foundation, and Matt Dunphy from WMI, and so we've got and Phil Sang from DJ Case, and so we've got these really talented professional persons who are spending full time, if you will, on attacking this issue, and bring so much talent to help us out that I'm just so pleased that you all could be a part of this and are willing to be a part of this for Nebraska. I know it's going to make a big difference in our success in this endeavor. So thank you all. And also, I was thinking about sort of what we're going to embark upon now compared to what we did in 2007. And, we have some other advantages as an agency. Since that time, 2007, we've developed a very professional and well-rounded planning division in our agency that Michelle Stryker administers. And so that's going to be and has been in many ways already in this endeavor very, very helpful. Also, we have a very talented communications and marketing division that didn't exist here in 2007. Our agency is about to choose a new permitting provider that's going to enhance our capabilities for gathering the kinds of information about our customers that's going to be really, really advantageous moving forward. So that there's lots of things like that. We also, I think, we have more engaged conservation partners, or more partners that are really highly engaged in Nebraska and nationally than we've ever had before. And we've learned a lot, right? We've learned a lot from all of the endeavors that other states have undertaken and have channeled through the various national and regional organizations and entities like RBFF that allow us to adapt as we move forward. When I look at what we did originally in Nebraska, we had, I think, identified 38 action items that we were going to undertake in a phased way over time. And we also realized that at the time our capacity was a lot different. I mean, today we have, Jeff Rollinson heading up a lot of our efforts in the hunting arena. We have Larry Pape heading up a lot of our efforts in the fisheries arena. We're adding boating and parks participation this time around, and we have people devoted to that have been gathering lots of information and doing lots of things to engage our audiences and engage our participants already. So we have those advantages going in too. But we're learning and adapting, and I think that we're well poised. I guess I'll put it that way. We're very well poised, and I have a lot of confidence that all of these things are going to really add to our ability to be successful in developing a very robust and plan. I know we're going to look at how to measure some of the things that we weren't measuring in the past, and we're going to also we had an R3 kickoff with a lot of our partners last week, and they're ready to go too. So, I was reading a book recently that's entitled "Let's Go," and if you start to read that book, you realize that what "Let's Go" is about is like identifying the things that might be holding you back a little bit from saying, "Okay, let's go." And I think that we have had the opportunity to already identify some of those things, and I think we're ready to say, let's go. So I'll end this with thanking all of you for participating. And I'm very, very optimistic and very thankful for your participation. So let's go.
Thanks so much, Jim, for your words. I couldn't agree more. You know, this is a really exciting endeavor that we're taking on, and I appreciate each and every one of you taking the time to do this. As I introduced myself just earlier, my name is Michelle Stryker, and I'm the Division Administrator for Planning and Programming, and I am humbled to be part of this team and to help you guys get moving on how we're going to tackle R3 for the next 5 years. So now as we begin, we're going to move forward in our introduction section. And I would like to introduce Stephanie Hussey, who is with Recreational Boating Fishing Foundation, who's going to kick us off.
Thank you, Michelle. Really glad to be here. Wish we could all be together in person, but knowing these days, these times, glad to at least be able to do this virtually. And to see you all this way and engage with you guys this way. RBFF is really excited to be partnering with you all on this. Both Dave Chanda and myself with Recreational Boating and Fishing Foundation are here. And I'll talk a minute about consultants too. And we've been working with a lot of states nationally on R3 planning. And there's been more and more states updating plans like you all and planning for the next 5 years and future, and other states just getting started in the R3 planning. I think this most recent year 3 of engaging and implementing the state Angler R3 scorecard, there are 18 states that are implementing and monitoring their plans nationally, and there are 19 states in the planning phase, and even more states are in initial planning. And so there's a lot of states in situations like you all and really coming together as a team and really looking at recruitment and retention reactivation for the agency and how do we plan and work all more effectively together for increasing participation together. And my role is State R3 Program Director for RBFF, and I've been at RBFF now 20 years and always working with state fish and wildlife agencies in various capacities, from R3 to marketing, outreach, everything to help agencies in really engaging with consumers and being more effective in that way. And so from developing different programs to partnering with you all in your R3 planning and programs, it's always fun and exciting working with different states in this way. And so again, we're really glad to be here. I'm gonna ask, before I turn it to our consultants, and I want to talk a little bit about that. Dave, let me just ask you if you wanted to say anything too. Dave is our state and federal government engagement VP.
No, I mean, it's exciting to see that we're finally, to this stage. Like Stephanie, I wish it was in person, because I do believe, if I counted from all the different Nebraska team, I've been promised at least 6 beers. So I'm off to a good start when we actually get together in person. Coming out of the state world, I know many of you on the call, but I spent 37 years with New Jersey Fish and Wildlife. So I know how hard it is for you folks to take on what you're doing. Kudos to Jim for, reallocating resources to, delve into this whole issue. And it's kind of why RBFF hired me 4 years ago, so that I could work over people like Jim Douglas and other state directors to start putting more resources into R3. And, didn't have to work Jim over much. He's always been a huge supporter of it. But I think as we take a look at what's going on around the country, we're seeing that shift in resources, and it's really exciting, because I think that we're now, creating just a wave of momentum that's going to carry this whole, R3 effort. So you've got the A team here with the 2 consultants to help guide you in this process. But at the end of the day, you folks are developing your plan. We're going to help guide you down that road, because if it's not a Nebraska plan put together by Nebraska staff, folks aren't going to implement it. So I'm looking forward to the day, and I'm looking forward to collecting all of those IOUs from the staff on the call. Thanks, Steph.
Thanks, Dave. And we have Phil Sang with DJ Case and Associates and Matt Dunphy with Wildlife Management Institute, who you all a lot of you have probably know and seen in different conversations and presentations at different conferences. And we are working closely with these guys to help agencies in R3 planning like you all, whether that's facilitation, reviews of plans, advice, you name it, here to help support states and what they need. And you all are in a really unique situation, I think, with Michelle and your team and having planning engaged embedded in your agency. And it's awesome to be working with you guys on this. And I really want to thank Jim and Michelle for entering an agreement with us to bring our team together just to support you all as you move forward. So with that, I'm going to turn it to Phil Sang, and please introduce yourself.
Thanks so much, Stephanie. Thanks, Jim, Michelle, and all of you for letting us be part of it. I'm super excited. I was involved. It's great to see a lot of old friends on the screen. I was involved in that 2007, the original RDR plan. So it's cool to have a bookend to kind of build upon the other end of it. So I'm Phil Sang, president of DJ Case and Associates. If you don't know DJ Case, it's communications consulting, but all related to natural resources conservation issues. So we work a lot with state and federal agencies, as well as nonprofit conservation organizations, helping them communicate with their publics, their constituents about wildlife, natural resources related issues. A lot of our work in the last, since the mid 90s has been in R3. Of course, in the mid 90s, it was R, it was just recruitment. Most state agencies, if they were doing anything, it was just around recruiting. And then we went to R&R. We liked the military R&R thing. Oh, that's fun. And then finally to R3. And we were involved early in the stages of applying adoption theory to outdoor recreation. We didn't invent it for sure. Adoption theory came into its own in the 70s, but a whole body of knowledge there. We were very interested in applying that to, can we apply it to outdoor recreation, and specifically for hunting and fishing in the early days. And so that was the underpinnings of the ORAM, the outdoor recreation adoption model that we all are using today. And so that was some really fascinating work that I was really pleased to be part of. I'm a wildlife biologist by formal training. I'm also a lifelong boater, angler, hunter, shooter, recreational shooter, competitive shooter, reloader. So I really engage in a lot of these things, and I'm fortunate to have a job where I can work, almost every day on the things that I'm passionate about personally. So that's been a great blessing. Also fortunate to have the relationship with RBFF, a longstanding working relationship with them. Most recently, I mean, it goes way back, but most recently working with Stephanie in particular and Dave, working with states on R3 stuff. And so this, and also with Matt Dunphy, as we are today, been a great collaboration, a great way to bring experience that those folks have from all over the country to bear on all of these specific projects. I'm really excited to be part of it. Also really fortunate to have a long working relationship with you all, with Nebraska. As I mentioned, going back to the RDR plan and beyond that, did some really fun focus groups with Alicia and Jeff back in the day. Hi, Alicia. And learned some really cool stuff in the early days, right? This was the early days of systematic planning, applying systematic thinking to planning for R3. So you guys, our hats are off to you for starting back then and coming back to it now and building on that strong foundation that you have. So I'm really looking forward to picking up that torch and seeing what we can get done today and beyond. So with that, I'm going to pitch it over to Matt Dunphy with Wildlife Management Institute. I like to say that whenever I'm allowed to introduce Matt, I like to say that if he's not the father of so-called modern R3, then he's at least its uncle. Maybe it's evil uncle, I'm not sure. Or maybe it's a godfather. But I've really enjoyed my time working together with Matt. He's a great systems thinker. I really appreciate that about him a lot, with lots of expertise from around the country to bring to bear as well. So Matt, take it away.
That was good. You worked yourself right back out of that there at the end. I appreciate that. So hi, everybody. Matt Dunphy with the Wildlife Management Institute. I, like everybody else on this call, have been blessed with seeing you all several times in the past, working with you all. Feel blessed again to do that again today. If you haven't heard of the Wildlife Management Institute, that's perfect. We don't want to tell you about us. We like staying in the background, working on conservation problems that are hard to figure out, find some solutions, and then pass them off to the people who are most capable of carrying those things forward. So I'm in that role today as support for RBFF, for you all, for DJ Case in this whole effort, and looking forward to what I can do to help.
Thanks, Matt. So now you've heard from all of us, and we'd like to hear from all of you to know who you all are on the team. Glenda has put in the chat the list of everyone here, and if by chance we happen to miss anyone, please add your name to the bottom so we do not forget you, and apologies if we did. And just want to start at the top of the list, and if you could please say your name, your title and the division within the agency, and then the team you're on for the R3 planning, the team. So name, title, division, and R3 planning team. So let me get back to the top of the list. So I think Alicia, we're starting with you.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I am Alicia Harden. I'm the Wildlife Division Administrator, and I'm on the core team. And I'm so excited to have all of you awesome facilitators here with us today. You guys bring so much knowledge to it, and I'm just so excited to continue to work with all of you. So thank you very much for being here.
Monica, if you want to jump in, I'll just ask each of you to jump in as you see your name. If Monica's here.
Yeah, sorry, I'm at home with a toddler, so I'm trying to make this work. My name is Monica Makubri. I am with the Fish and Wildlife Education Division, and my title is Wildlife Education Specialist, and I am on the hunting and shooting teams for this.
Yep, I'm Kevin Holiday. I'm the Regional Park Superintendent for the Southeast Region Parks in the Parks Division, and I'm on the hunting team, section team.
I think Matt is next, but I don't see him in the list of attendees. So we'll go on to the next person.
Okay, so Bob.
Bob Burkholz.
Who is always forgetting to take himself off mute. Bob, you're on mute.
Bob Burkholz. I'm the Assistant Division Administrator for State Parks, Parks Division, and I'm on the shooting content team.
Good afternoon. I'm Jeff Fields. I'm the Regional Park Superintendent for the Northeast. I'm on the core team and privileged to be part of this process.
My name is Amber Schultz. I'm the Wildlife Education Program Manager with Fish and Wildlife Education Division, and I'm on the Parks team. I'm really happy to be here too. Thank you.
Hey everybody, I'm Hannah Jones. I'm one of the Assistant Division Administrators in the Planning and Programming Division, and I am part of the core team and the Parks content writing team. So really excited about that.
Good afternoon. I'm at Jay Grote. I'm out at Mahoney State Park, and I'm on the fisheries program team. I'm also with Clam Outdoors, and excited to be on the call today and share what I can for fisheries.
Looks like I'm next. My name's Brad Eifert. I'm a fisheries management biologist out in Kearney and working for the fisheries division. And this is my first time working with the R3 planning process, so I'm looking forward to seeing what it all has to offer. And I'm on the boating team.
Keith Copel, fisheries division. I'm an irrigation reservoir specialist, and I'm on the fisheries team.
I do not see Christy on the call. So Pat, do you want to go move forward?
You bet. I'm Pat Cole. I'm the Budget and Fiscal Administrator, Budget and Fiscal Division, also known as the agency Dream Killer. and I'm on the core team.
My name is Amanda Philippi. I'm an outdoor education specialist in Western Nebraska. I'm with the Parks team, and I'm also in the Parks content team.
I'm Erin Johnson. I'm a recreation planner within planning and programming, and I'm just here to help facilitate today.
I'm Jane Gustafson, and I am in the communications division. I am one of the agency's assistant division administrators there, and I am the marketing and advertising manager for the agency. And I am on the fishing content team and the shooting review team, and am happy to be here to help with anything else that can be done.
Is Lori here? Lori Howard?
I'm here, sorry. Lori Howard with the Parks Division. I am an administrative specialist here, and I am on the Parks content team.
Hi, I'm Larry Pape with the Fisheries Division, education specialist. I'm on the core team and also helping with the boating and fishing teams.
I'm Allie Mays. I'm the Community Science Education Specialist with the Wildlife Education Division, and I'm on the Park content team.
Jeff Rollinson, Assistant Administrator for the Communications Division, and I am on the core team as well as facilitator for the hunting and shooting sports team.
Jeff Clausen, Assistant Division Administrator for Law Enforcement. I'm on the boating team, and I am also the state's boating law administrator.
Okay, Craig, you're up.
Craig Stover, I'm the administrator of law enforcement, and
I'm Dusty Shelbicki. I'm our depredation program manager from the wildlife section, and I'm on the hunting team.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Schmidt, and I am a marketing communications specialist for our communications division, and I'm on the Parks content team. Thank you for having me.
I'm Justin Bogey. I'm the accountant for the Parks Division, and I am on the fishing team.
Good afternoon. I'm Bill Olick Miller. I'm the Regional Park Superintendent for the Venture Parks, and I am on the Parks content team.
And Aaron, we have you in the list here next if you're ready.
Yeah, Aaron Hirschberger, though my screen name always pops up for Hershey for some reason, and though I change it, it pops back. I'm in the communications division as an outdoor education specialist. Hunting and shooting outreach is kind of my focus. I happen to be on the hunting and shooting sports content teams.
I'm Christy Firestone. Hi, everyone. I'm the Communications Division Administrator, and I'm on the core team. And I'm super excited to be working with Stephanie and Dave and Phil and Matt. So thank you.
Hi, I'm TJ Walker. I'm an assistant division administrator with the wildlife division, and I am on the fishing content team.
Good afternoon. My name's Skylar Sampson. I'm one of the other recreation planners in planning and programming. I'll be facilitating today, but I am also part of the boating content team. Tyler.
Tyler Wolf, Park Superintendent of Lewis and Clark State Rec Area. I am part of the boating team, and I'm excited to be part of the archery efforts.
Hello, everybody. I'm Lindsay Rogers with our Fish and Wildlife Education team. I'm the division administrator, and I am on the core team.
Is Pat on here?
I don't see Pat on here, so we could move to Dean.
I'm Dean Rosenthal. I'm the Fisheries Division Administrator. I'm on the core team.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hunter Nikolai. I am the recently hired R3 coordinator for hunting and shooting sports, and I am on the hunting and shooting team.
Good afternoon, everybody. Will Inselman, Assistant Wildlife Division Administrator. I lead the research section, and I am on the hunting content team.
Hi, everyone. My name is Grace Gard. I'm with the Fish and Wildlife Education Division, and my position is Aquatic Ecology Education Specialist. So I'm helping out on the fishing and boating teams. So.
Shauna, sorry, it looks like we missed you on that list.
That's okay. I'm Shauna Richter Ryerson. I am with communications. I am in charge of public relations. I am on the boating committee and the review committee for boating and hunting. And I am looking forward to riding while boating, just so you guys all know.
Thank you. And Daryl, sorry again, we missed you there.
No, that's my fault. I was a little late getting in. Daryl Bauer. I am the Fisheries Outreach Program Manager for Fisheries Division, and I am all fishing all the time.
Excellent. And if we miss anyone else, just want to make sure. We definitely did not intend to. So thank you all.
Okay,
many familiar faces. Sorry, many familiar faces, and glad to meet you all. Thanks for taking the time for the introductions. And I'll turn it to Matt, unless Michelle, you were going to say something there. Or Christy, did we miss you? I'm sorry, earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Christy Christensen, Outdoor Education Specialist, and I'm half parks and half communications division, but working mostly with hunting and shooting sports.
Thank you. Okay, Matt, I think we're good.
Okay, well then let's rock and roll here. So the main point of this meeting is for you all to do work, which is one of the benefits of us not being there in person. If there's only one benefit, we get to do some more watching, but we are there to help. And before we get the work done, though, we thought it would probably be prudent for us to go over just some basics. Now, you all have heard I think most of you have heard the R3 Roadshow and the basics of R3, but whether we're talking about the outdoor recreation adoption model, some of the basic principles, some of the problems where we came from. So I don't want to do any of that today. What I want to do for the next 20, 30 minutes or so is give you kind of three things. Number one, where we came from. Back in 2007, the first time you wrote this plan and your initial plan, the RDR plan, and what was happening even before that. Number two, what we know about now. So how was 2020 for you all? How was it for R3? What has been going on since the release of the National Hunting and Shooting Sports Action Plan? What does the data tell us? And then the third thing is, I guess this would be my vanity card of telling you all what I think other states are doing in the ethos of R3 in those 18 states that Stephanie mentioned that are working on strategic R3 plans. All the researchers and projects out there discovering what is best for R3. So we'll end there, and then hopefully we'll have a little bit of time for questions. So I'm going to go fairly fast. We don't have a whole lot of time, but again, this isn't meant to be a deep dive. This is meant to be a refresher on what many of you hopefully already know. So I always like to go back to the very, very beginning. This is where this R3 thing started. Phil mentioned that it went from 1 R to 2 Rs to 3 Rs. This is what started kind of the 3R thing was, although these data are pretty coarse, you can see right there looking back from 1980 to 2006, this was the first graph that caused something of a universal pucker amongst agency directors as well as governors. And it trickled its way up to Washington, D.C. So this is the why. Traditional numbers of hunters, and we've since learned many other outdoor sapiens, were going down. Well, that's a problem for a couple reasons. Number one, the North American model of wildlife conservation, and I'm just going to say it's not a model, just the way we do things. The way we do things here in this country is way overly dependent on the funding of these individuals. Overly dependent only in the perspective that way more Americans are out there extracting nature than are paying for nature. So this got people's attention. That's what started with R3. These numbers were going down. Why were they going down? This wasn't necessarily correlated to population numbers. It wasn't necessarily correlated to even habitat loss. To some degree, yeah, but these numbers were going down. We didn't exactly know why. So one of the first things that happened in this movement we now call R3 is that some eggheads like myself and others who were too scared to posit a reason why this was going down, we said, let's get some data. Let's look at the numbers a little bit more. This trend is way too coarse. It's way too old. What is actually happening? So we started looking a little bit more. And I'm going to show you several types of data because honestly, folks, I want you to remember this as much as anything else. Getting your head wrapped around exactly what's happening and why is a squirrely proposition. Don't trust just one data source. Don't trust even two. You really have to dig into these things to understand what's happening in America, what's happening with outdoor participation, and then finally, what the heck an agency can do about it or should do about it. So actually, let me change something there. There we go. So you can see if we look at course trends from the national survey, you can see where things are going. Clearly, wildlife watching and an interest in wildlife has been going up for a long time and going up fairly steadily, while some of the other activities we talk a lot about, hunting and fishing, have oscillated or have been going down over time. Now, you probably all have seen these graphs, but this was sort of the next level of data that we looked into. We said, okay, we know we're losing numbers. We know we're losing proportion of US populations, but what else is happening? Is that the only numbers we need to diagnose what is occurring with these populations of outdoor users? And I'm going to stick with hunters, anglers, and shooters just as sort of a microcosm of all outdoor sapienism. So what this shows is, well, if you dig into that existing population, so if you look at just anglers, for instance, between 2000 and 2016, and you look at that group of humans that are doing that, what is happening within that group? So this was research that RBFF, the Council to Advance Hunting and Shooting Sports, did many years ago to really look at that population based on age and what was happening based on age within that population of anglers. So kind of watch the show. This first line is the year 2000. Age distribution is down there on the bottom. As time moves forward, you can see what is happening to that population. Regardless of how big the population is, how many people are in there, all of the individuals under the curve, what is happening proportionally based on age? As we move forward in time, you can see a couple things. And this was really illuminating to us. This was when we realized, oh, gee whiz, R3 isn't that simple. It's just not a question of the number of anglers that are out there. It's also a question of how old are they? What generation are they coming from? And more importantly, who's coming in behind the generations that are about to age out? If you look on that right-hand side, you can see at a certain age, the population ages out. That's where boomers were headed. You look behind that population, you see the millennials and the Gen Xers, and you recognize they are represented at even a lower proportion than boomers were. Hence the need for some long-term thinking and some very long-term strategic thinking. We look at hunters, you're going to see a very similar trend going in 2000. We see a higher peak with youth, but we also see a deeper valley with youth. You see boomers aging out. You see them moving kind of to the left. Sorry, not sure what was going on there. You see that population moving toward aging, and you see a very deep valley in that millennial generation, which remember is the largest US generation in history. So again, in the story of where we came from, this let us know, okay, this isn't a quick fix. We're talking about strong generational impacts. We're talking about in another 10 years, we're going to maybe lose 20 to 30% more of our core, which are boomers. And behind them, we don't have an equally represented number of generations that are following. The other thing that I'll point out here, since we're slaughtering sacred cows, is we recognize that even though we get a lot of good youth participation early on, it dies out, and we're doing a really bad job at getting them re-engaged. If we look then one layer deeper, who are these people actually? Demographic wise, you all know this story. They're largely male. They're largely Caucasian. They're mostly middle-aged and getting older. There's some positive signs. Females are the fastest growing segment, but unfortunately, they're also the least avid. We look at this and we say, does that look like America? And the answer is no, it does not. On the angling side, it's a little better. So kudos to the work of RBFF and many wildlife agencies. We're a little less male, a little less monodemographic in terms of ethnicity or race, but still, when you think about this in reference to what America looks like now and what it looks like in the future, not very representative. So all of these things in total kind of describe where we came from. If you ever stop and think why you're at another meeting talking about R3, talking about strategic planning and going, why are we having to do this? Well, the data that I just showed you is the reason why. This isn't a simple problem. This is a problem that spans generations. This is a problem that spans demographics. And at the end of the day, everybody, the way we solve this problem is by changing people's behavior. And anybody on this call who is in education, communication, marketing, knows how difficult it is to change people's behaviors in the long term, particularly when you're changing behaviors of cultures and communities that aren't traditionally doing those behaviors, at least not in the US. So where are we now? So all of that's been happening. All of that's been going on. Honestly, we as a community, and let me extend it beyond just the community. This isn't just a problem of state fish and wildlife agencies or conservation NGOs. We, the outdoor sapien, we have been making this problem in America for the past 50 years. Being an outdoors person used to just be called being a human. For whatever reason, we've allowed outdoor sapienism to shift largely into this one or two demographics and kind of exclude everybody else. To be honest, folks, I don't know why we did that. I don't know why that occurred. We know some things that occurred along with it, like urbanization, like postmodernist societies, more technologically focused societies and technology more involved in our lives, a focus on ease of living, a focus on speed of living. All of those things were there, sure. I don't know that it explains all the reasons we sort of shoved a lot of these activities into one particular demographic. But the point is, regardless of why we did it, we did it. Regardless of why the outdoor sapiens in North America let it slip through their fingers, they did. And where we're left with right now, today, you and I working within an agency or an organization that cares about conservation, is that we have got to do something to try and fix this. I don't think it's a great fit, honestly, for an agency to have to do all this R3 work. R3, these activities related to it, are really apprenticeship type mentoring activities that small social groups, social milieux should be passing on to each other and should be passing on between each other. An agency is a pretty coarse surrogate for that kind of a social milieu. So let's recognize that. What that means is not that it doesn't mean that we can't do something. What it means is we got to think carefully about doing it, because we're sticking our hands in a really tricky system that involves trust. It involves experience. It involves cultural and individual identity. And we're trying to somehow, as the government, stick our fingers in that and do so in a way that is supportive and not patronizing in any way. So, what did 2020 show us? Where are we? I'm going to show you, again, a handful of data. So if we look at just what 2020 shows us, there's this obvious increase. So I said a sentence early on in 2020 that got circulated a lot in the media. I regret it now, as I regret almost every time I talk to the media. But I said, the coronavirus was able to do in 1 year what we haven't been able to do in 30. And folks latched onto that. Mostly that's an incorrect statement, but it makes a great headline. But there is something to that. There was an increase in people going outside. It's encouraging. The main thing that it showed us is there's this latent desire within a lot of Americans to go outside. But what does that really mean for us? So let me show you exactly what we're looking for. I want to give you some encouragement, but I also want to give you some context. So look at these data. This came from the Council of Advanced Hunting and Shooting Sports. Southwick and Associates helped them compile this. The blue line is 2019. The orange line is 2020. These are hunting license sales reported bi-monthly from 40 states. I know you all have heard a lot anecdotal stories about every parking lot being filled with every truck out there. Okay. Anecdotal stories are just that. They're anecdotal. I listen to them, but I don't trust them. I want to scale up a little bit. If as you see here, the numbers actually track fairly similar. Let's look regionally at license sales increase across the US and on the increase in all license sales. And you'll see there's a high diversity of percentages of increase regionally. The Southeast saw the biggest increase. The West saw the next biggest. You all in the Midwest, the smallest. And then hone in on the bottom number there. In total, last year, 2020, just about a 5% increase nationwide in hunting license sales. A good bump, clearly, but not the 30% increase that many of us were often told. You can also look over here at increase in resident sales and non-resident sales. You'll see mainly it was people in state doing stuff in state because, travel wasn't exactly easy in 2020. Shooting sports, very interesting. Shooting sports and shooting sports participation is always sort of a proxy for political and social events that are happening, at least in America. Background checks up 60% from 2019. 40% of the purchases in 2020 were from first-time buyers. There were 8.4 million first-time firearm buyers. A lot of them were handguns. 40% of all 2020 buyers were women. Huge increase in women getting involved, or at least purchasing firearms. We don't know what that involvement means. And likewise, a nearly unbelievable and unprecedented increase in firearms purchases among Black Americans, 58%. The African American Gun Owners Association, I think is the name for it. Their membership has absolutely exploded in 2020. So the demographics are changed rapidly during 2020. We don't know what this translates to range time. We do know what it translates to in ammunition purchases, as many of you out there have already figured out trying to find ammunition. I want to pass it over to Steph here to talk about what happened on the fishing side.
Thanks, Matt. This is a chart with another data source that RBFF partners with the Outdoor Foundation on. And it's something that allows us to look at participation annually. And we produce, in partnership with them, the special report on fishing. And this is something we've been doing for a number of years to help us get a pulse on participation annually. And this is for ages 6 and up, so a little different than license sales, but for ages 6 and up. And the chart here shows from 2016 because we launched, many of you may be familiar, we had launched an aspirational goal for the community to reach 60 million anglers in 60 months, which is the end of this year is the way that was set, to reach 60 million participants. And so we started really tracking that more closely with the community and looking at that. And as Matt talked about, and sorry, Matt, I guess there's a hidden advance in there. Thank you.
Okay, I got it.
And that we have really been looking at this. And as Matt said, and you all have experienced and all the states have experienced, there was a huge increase last year, kind of a bit of a silver lining there in that folks have been able to take to the outdoors and get outside as something safe and things that they could do with their family. And so we saw a bump to approximately 55 million last year. Our work here is not done in that now there's a lot of work to be done in retaining these folks and to retain all those new and reactivated folks, and how do we keep them in the fold, especially as they're able to one of these days get out and do other things, and how do we remain top of mind with them and keep them fishing and boating. So you can flip to the next one, Matt. Sorry to keep you challenged there. So looking at this survey and some of our key segments, we're at the highest rate since 2007 with 13.5 million youth. 36% of all fishing participants were female last year, and at an all-time high with 4.8 million Hispanics. And in looking at African Americans, it's up 1 million in the last 10 years to 3.1 million. So this is just a snapshot again at some of the key segments, and really trying to keep a pulse on this, and again, trying to engage these folks and retain these folks as we move forward. And we've got 16 state grantees, including your agency this year, really working on retention programs to retain folks this year, and more work to be done as we all kind of move forward and figure out what do folks need to keep them engaged in fishing and boating moving forward. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Steph. And so let me follow up this section with sort of the where we are now. And let's remember again, context. So all of those numbers that I related to you and then Steph related to you sound really encouraging, maybe sound a little daunting because you're thinking, where are we going to put all these people? Well, let's zoom out a little bit. And fishing, I think, is a really good activity to zoom out on. These are data from ASA's, American Sport Fishing Association's 2021 National Fishing Report. And if you go back to 2007 and you look at fishing participation rate, you can start to see something. So while there was a bump this year, there have been bumps before. And anybody remember what happened in 2007? We had a financial crisis. We had a lot of social fallout from that. We saw a bump there. There was also a bump on the hunting side. And then we saw participation rates start to fluctuate, kind of like they had the previous years. We're seeing something similar now. Now, COVID has been worse, I think. And I think some of the demographic changes that we're seeing are stronger. But here's the point I want to make. And this really ties into what we're doing here today. These annual bumps have occurred in the past. They will again. The problem is that we as an institution haven't necessarily been prepared for them. We haven't done the strategic thinking to capitalize on them when they occur. When something happens in our country that brings out that latent desire of a lot of Americans to go outside and do things, we haven't been there with the pamphlet or the thing saying, welcome to the outdoors, we've been waiting for you, and we know how to keep you out here. That's why. Just look at this trend. Go back to 2007. See what's happening here. That's why you need a long-term goal as an agency to not only ride out these trends, but take advantage of them when they're thrown in your lap. So another way to say that is this. The system that we currently have in R3 and that we have had for a long time is getting us what we currently have. Okay? When a bump comes, we're often not prepared and it slips back down again. We don't have the strategies and peoples in place to take advantage of it. So the point here is, if we want to change the outcome, we have to change the system. The first part of changing a system is getting strategic about it. So how do we change? If I don't want to give you a list of all of the things state fish and wildlife agencies are doing that are working, or any other organizations are, but I think there are 3 philosophies that the winning organizations or winning programs are embracing when it comes to R3. So essentially 3 winning rules for the 3 R's. Rule number 1, those that have embraced this phrase are really getting somewhere. You all know this story from talking with me before, is that for the vast majority of our time in R3, and us meaning the natural resource community, we have not challenged ourselves to see if what we're doing is working. Basically, if 50 people come through our program, how many of them buy a license? Or let's say, how many of them exhibit the desired behavior change 1 year later? And if only 3% of them do, then we need to stop and do something different. Or if all of our participants in, let's say, an angling program already come from fishing families, we're not expanding our population. There's a lot of those things that we were doing. So by embracing what is doing right, doing what works by proving that it works by evaluation as opposed to what just feels good. That's how we win. The 18 states that have written or are writing strategic plans, they are getting this. Evaluation is working in. An adaptive management approach is working in. All of the R3 coordinators you see up here in the right-hand corner, they weren't there 6 years ago. There wasn't even one R3 coordinator 6 years ago. We have capacity now to work on this strategically. We have to treat this much more sophisticated than in the past. We have to know what we're doing, evaluate what we're doing. And here's the kicker, folks. Be comfortable to change when we learn it's not working. Let go of favorite programs or efforts if they're not making a difference, or change them and be comfortable with that change. Remember, states that have done this, I always like to tout New Mexico. They started doing this in 2011. These are real hunting and fishing licenses sold in the state. You can see what happens over time. There are about 4 major changes they made following R3 best practices over the course of these years to reach an incredibly high number. Rule number 2, emphasize what I talked about before. We as an institution need to recognize that outdoor sapienism, whether you're talking about making a hunter, an angler, a boater, a hiker, a mountain biker, a bird watcher, that new generations of Americans don't want to see themselves as just one thing. They don't want to be just seen as a hunter, as an angler. And we as agencies shouldn't be looking at them as that either. We should be working on how do we make more robust outdoor sapiens. So in other words, if someone's a hiker, how can we also make them a kayaker and then maybe an angler? Or how can we make them a shooting sports participant? Or how can we make a hunter a bird watcher? Taking that kind of approach, natural pathways to all of these avenues should be the direction that we need to be heading. Fortunately, there's a lot of movements out there that are doing this. New programs like Field to Fork that are focusing on sort of urban, hipster, highly educated farmers market goers. New organizations like Hunters of Color that are making huge changes within marginalized communities. A lot of social inertia is out there right now to do that. There's a lot of potential partners to do that. As an agency, we need to do 2 things. One is recognize that we need to stop siloing all of these outdoor sapiens into one thing, and instead saying, how can we create a braided network of trails, all weaving in and out of these different activities, so that whenever we engage with one of our customers, whenever we engage with someone who takes value in the natural world, we're always there telling them, hey, have you considered these other things? Hey, do you know these other options are available to you while you're out there doing the thing you want to do? Or maybe when the season for your primary thing you want to do ends, did you know there's other things you can do elsewhere? That's what, in my mind, the winning combination is. And agencies that are looking that way, organizations that are looking in that kind of direction and taking that strategy are succeeding more and going to succeed more based on what we're hearing about the nature values of current Americans. Rule 3. This is my one rule for everything, folks. Many of you have heard me say it again, but honestly, this is the solution. If you were to ask me, Matt, what's your elevator speech for R3? It would be this. If an organization, everything from an organization down to an individual embodies this ethos, we would fix this. If we simply make a goal to replace ourselves with someone who doesn't look like us, a lot of the right things are going to fall in place. So whether you're recruiting mentors, using volunteers, whatever the activity is, challenging the current outdoor sapien to replace themselves with someone who doesn't look like them is going to get us down the road. As an agency, if we look at our license database and say, who is purchasing our licenses, and say, okay, are they representative of the demographics and the people in our state? And if not, we need to focus on turning that population around till it does. Here's why this is important, folks. One is efficiency. If we look at just like hunting, if 30% of hunters did this in 1 year, only 30% of them, we would get back to pre-1980 levels in hunting. The same would be true for fishing. Plus, these folks would have an internal mentoring process. So this is easy to do. Second thing is, I'm actually not that concerned about the number of outdoor sapiens, not as much as you might think. I'm actually much more concerned about the tapestry of that population. I want that population to look a lot more like America for one simple reason, is that if it doesn't look like America, America isn't going to see it anymore. And the relevance of the outdoors gets relegated to a tiny little cultural effect, and it doesn't become a part of who America's people are. That concerns me. If we can turn our population around to look like most Americans or more Americans, we won't have to advocate this fight nearly as much. So that should be your goal. When you think about numbers, yes, we need numbers because we need the money right now, at least according to our current model. But at the end of the day, we want that population to be fighting alongside us and being relevant to their own communities to make sure the people that are out there doing this are, by their very presence, advocating for its longevity in the American mind. I'll leave you with a final quote that is still one of my favorites from a young woman that allowed me to go along in her hunting and fishing expertise. That was her wrist with a tattoo of star on it at the beginning of this presentation. And this is the quote that she left me with that I think is really important. So today, as we are doing the work, today, as we are thinking about how does Nebraska achieve this, let's remember this message from her. Let's remember where we came from. Let's remember what we've already learned and know that we are in a long fight here, and we got to put in the work, the hard work of the thinking today, and then application in the future. So with that, I will stop. And is there any questions, anything unclear that I can tune up in hard stuff? Okay, Michelle, back to you.
Thanks, Matt, for giving us a little bit of a brief on where we're at and where we want to go. You know, we all looked at COVID and how it worked with our agency in the last year. And I know a lot of you felt extremely busy and highly stressed because of all the things that we were doing, moving to a virtual world where education rocked it with all the different things that they were doing, because they did learn how to adapt into this situation. And I think that we need to take note of that, of what we're doing, you know, with our Parks Division increasing the amount of visitation everywhere and permits. You'll see a lot of the same things nationally, but in Nebraska, we had some great success in the last couple of years. And you're right, Matt, we got to learn how to take advantage of that success and keep it moving and do what we think works and keep going. So with that, you know, I just want to talk a little bit about kind of what are the purpose and the responsibilities of the team and the consultants, and what does that look like to us? So it's been, you know, over 12 years since we've done the R3 plan, and we've learned a lot. So it was supposed to be a 20-year plan, and Jeff cornered me probably about 4 years ago and said, we need to update the R3 plan. And I'll tell you this, I didn't know how to wrap my brain around it. How do you deal with something so big and touches every facet of our agency and affects us so deeply? It took a long time of conversations with Jeff, with the director, with other division administrators to even figure out where do we go. And I started speaking with Stephanie about 2 years ago of how do we move this forward. And with what she first started talking with us about is, hey, we can help you. We'll be there to kind of give you some information and go forward with you, but you're going to have to do it yourself. And I was like, oh, I don't know how to do that myself. And I don't know if our team is ready to do it ourselves. And so we took a step back, and then we brought Matt in, and then we brought Phil in from DJ Case. And we thought, how do we do this together where we make it more robust? And we had the vision of making it more robust by adding voting, which is obviously something that we need to talk about, and adding parks in there. We may, and I can't be certain of this, be one of the first states that starts actually talking about the R3 process and mechanism for parks. I know our division administrator in the Parks Division feels very strongly about the fact that we don't want to be in the same situation in the Parks Division, losing our participants or not keeping our participants. And that's what he's afraid of. And he probably is right that we are losing certain people in different places in the Parks Division. So we need to step it up in R3 there. So we decided we needed to do that. We know that we have more data now than we ever have, and we're embarking on even better permit system, which will track our data even better. We're doing more surveying now to understand our constituents more. So we think that that's going to be a real help to this plan. Our agency is different. As our director alluded to, we have different divisions now and different positions now. In 2008, it looked different than it looks now. We have made huge strides in where we're going in the future. And I'm very excited about the opportunity that we have because we're more robust than we were in 2008. We have more passion, I think, than in 2008 because we have more staff. So that one thing is a great thing, not because the staff wasn't passionate in 2008, but we have a few more members of this staff. And so that's a really exciting thing. And they're related to R3. They're working towards R3. They were part of the RDR plan. So we actually did make some progress on that. So that's kind of why we're doing this. We're moving forward in re-engaging in our R3 plan. So what does this mean to you guys? What does it mean for my core team or my plant writing content team? What am I going to do? So each team has some different responsibilities to make this plan a success. Everyone in this meeting is absolutely instrumental in moving forward in our goals in R3. I'm excited that I had so many recommendations from your division administrators on who should be engaged in the plan. So when Stephanie, Will, Matt, and Phil and I talked, it was we should have 2 to 6 people writing on each of our writing teams. And I got 9 to 12 people as recommended to be on each team. So I circled back with the consultants and said, I can't stymie this. This is too fantastic. We've got to try to work it out that way. And we found a way that this is going to be absolutely awesome. So I'm really excited that each one of you wanted to be on the team, or that your division administrator saw something in you that knows that you can bring something to the table on this endeavor. So let's talk about expectations. So for the core team, why do we have a core team? Well, this team is going to be made up of division administrators and a few key staff players on that. So there'll be the facilitators of the writing teams will be on that core team, division administrators, administration, and a couple of others. And we did that because we wanted to have big thinking happening where we helped the whole process forward, how we're going to create our goals. So this team is really planned on what they're going to do is help write the goals. We will completely keep this very transparent. Information will be shared consistently with everyone to make sure that you guys are on the same page. But this team is going to focus mainly on writing those goals and creating a format of what does this plan look like. So every content team has kind of that outline skeleton of this is what needs to be in this section of the plan, and you have to answer these types of things. So that's going to help you move forward. So with a content team, that's a little different. You guys, the people who are the majority of the folks on this call today, are going to do the lion's share in the sense that you're going to do the important work. You're going to tell us how we're going to get this done. You're going to talk with the other people and agency staff members and partners about how can they help get it done. And then you're going to formulate that into words and show with us what those strategies and action items are for the next 5 years of what we're going to do. You know, this is really important. I'd like to introduce some of the three facilitators that you do have on those teams. Jeff Rawlinson will be heading up the hunting and shooting sports teams, as you saw. Larry Pape is going to be heading up the fishing and boating. And then Hannah Jones is going to be heading up the parks team. Those are the 5 teams that are going to be on there. But that doesn't mean that that's all that's going to be in this plan. There will be more things in the plan, but we wanted to look at those pillars, and they're going to facilitate the process with each of you in your groups. So they're going to be the ones that can answer the questions of where to go. They're going to help you get through it, and then they're going to help with the writing. But each team member is really expected to participate in the writing. That's what we want you to do. It's really important that it's not just one person. Then we will have a review team. And the review team is one of the team that doesn't necessarily engage in the entire process for the writing, but they do a lot of the review in the sense of, does this make sense in the world and the places that they sit? For example, our federal aid section, they're not necessarily writing this plan, but they need to be engaged in all pieces of the plan to understand where will our funding potentially priorities be. And they want to be engaged in that, to read about it and understand about it. Our permits team, they have a lot of the data, and they want to make sure that they can connect the data to the plan and what we're trying to do for measurement. So they're going to be instrumental in the review team. So there's several individuals that are going to be on that review team, including our external partners. So this will be a chance to engage our partners in reviewing and providing input to us, besides giving input to the writing teams when they're going along. So then we asked for consultants. Why do we have consultants? You have a planning team. Well, like I said, this was so daunting, and I don't have that national flavor. I don't have that national data right at my fingertips. These folks do, and they've been doing this for a long time. And why reinvent the wheel? Why not get them on our side and have them help us move through this? Are they going to be in charge of every little thing of where we go? No, they're here with us in the journey. They're not here to lead the journey. That's where you guys come in. You lead this journey, and we're really excited about this. Our consultants are going to help provide us national data. They will assist in facilitation as needed with the writing teams, and they're going to be sitting in on the goal formulation as well. And then also, they're going to put it in one voice. That's the one thing that I know that I need help on, is for them to put it in one voice. So you guys don't have to worry about, well, Parks team is writing it this way, even though it's the format is the same, they're writing it in this voice, and the boating team is writing it this way. They're going to help us move that so it all sounds like it comes from one voice. That is what we're kind of doing with that. So how the heck are we going to get there? With how long is it going to take? So we have a timeline, because as a planner, I have timelines for everything, and that's just how I work and function. So first is today. We're kicking off on August 19th. We're gathering together, and we're going to move things forward. Woohoo! Next, the core team is going to be meeting, and they're going to formulate those goals and have that format decided by November 30th of 2021. Next, we will be drafting that plan, and the writing team is moving forward. We'll have a draft of this plan by July 30th, 2022. Next, we will have external review and staff review, and that will be completed in, I want to say, October of 2022. I can't see it on my screen because something's hiding it. And finally, we will go to the commission in 2023 for approval of this plan. So a little less than 18 months. I know that that might be a little scary for all of you, but don't worry, we're in it together and we'll make it through. We're not looking at making this a 400-page plan that has, 87 different appendices and that kind of thing. We're moving forward with I think making it simple is better. Education plan just got done recently, and it's a short document. It's a meaningful document, but it doesn't make it so long. Our focus on the future strategic plan, again, is a short document that is meaningful and allows us to move forward with it. That's kind of the goal here, is it's going to not have to be hundreds and hundreds of pages. With that, I'm going to give everybody, and we're right on schedule right now, is we're going to take a 10-minute break and we're going to come back. So just go ahead and have a break. Thanks.
back, everybody, from break. We're going to jump right in and start with our first kind of engagement exercise with everybody. Hopefully you feel empowered. I know that we've already had a lot of really good information thrown at you this morning or this afternoon, and so thank you, Matt and Stephanie, and for giving us a wonderful presentation. I think that it helps put us in the right perspective and focus of where we need to be today. So first, I want to talk a little bit about what our vision statements, and I know a lot of you in our agency have been involved with planning efforts where you've done this exercise before. And so just as a reiterated note, vision statements are a description of what we want to accomplish, right? Whereas a mission or a mission statement is what we do, right? So visioning is forward thinking. And we all know that this plan is 5 years. And so we have a monumental task today to try to come up with, some drafts of vision statements to define where our R3 efforts are going to go over the next 5 years. Why are they important? Really important because it helps us develop a sense of direction on really writing those goals for this plan. And so with a vision statement and this overarching umbrella, we can think about that as we're writing these goals for the 5 different pillars that we're focusing on. And so again, I want to speak to the point of how difficult this actually is in that, we are going to come up with some statements today, some drafts, but it isn't an easy task. We have to be thinking about all of those 5 pillars, but making sure that we are broad enough in our statement that we're encompassing all of those and we're not focusing too heavily on any one. And so how will we ever come up with one for our R3 efforts? Well, we're going to put you in breakout rooms here in just a minute. And there's going to be 4 different breakout rooms. So we'll each come up with one draft statement, and then we'll share those with the rest of the agency as well as with you all on our digital platform site so that you guys can take a look and kind of wordsmith and try to choose and vote for which one you think is the best to steer us in the right direction for this plan. And so first I want to show you a couple examples before we go into this draft exercise. But before I talk about those examples, I think it's really important to talk about, vision statements are clear and concise. They're not a paragraph long, because if they are, you lose meaning behind what you're trying to say, right? And so it's really important that they're short and brief, but also to the point and meaningful and impactful in the words that you choose. And so, I have a couple examples here. I specifically did not choose other R3, visions. And so Nordstrom, right, is their vision is to serve our customers better, to always be relevant in their lives and to form lifelong relationships. It's forward thinking, it's looking to the future, it's looking at what they specifically want to accomplish. But it's also broad so that they can create goals and be flexible in writing them. Smithsonian, shaping the future by preserving our heritage, discovering new knowledge, and sharing our resources with the world. And then the last one is from an institution. It's challenge ourselves to create unique ideas and innovative solutions in a technology-rich environment. Now, again, what all these have in common is that they're inspiring, they're forward-thinking, but they're also really challenging. All of these things are big tasks, big shoes to fill. And so, so I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of perspective and put you guys in that right mind frame before sending you off. So now I'm going to show you kind of what to expect when you get out into these breakout rooms. Many of you have used Google Jamboard before, but I'm going to give a short tutorial for those of you that haven't. And so everybody's seeing my screen, right? Okay. So there's going to be 4 groups, like I said, and each group's going to have a facilitator to kind of walk you through this. But for those of you that haven't used Google Jamboard, up at the top in the center, there is 8 slides. So like I said, each group is going to have 2 slides. So you can toggle to the respective slide that you need to be on when you get into your group. Now on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see there's a lot of different tools. So the 4th one down is a sticky note. If you click on that, I'm just going to say, this is a test. This is where you're going to answer this first question. and you just click save and it automatically pops up on the board for you and you can drag it to wherever you want. And so, like I said, the facilitators are going to walk you through this exercise, so I'm not going to go into too many details, but basically we're going to take some time to answer this question of looking at keywords and phrases of what we want to achieve in the next 5 years with R3. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use these keywords and phrases, some of them. We'll try to choose about 3 to 5 that then we can focus on in writing a draft statement. And so the way that we're going to do that is you're going to click into about 3 to 5 that are on the slide. After you've done the exercise, you're going to pick about 3 to 5 that you go back into and put an X behind it to say, this is my vote. I think this is critically important that we focus on this in drafting our statement so that you can try to narrow down the focus a little bit. That's not to say that the other statements or phrases on the screen are not important. They're actually going to help and be instrumental in writing the goals potentially. And so that's the first slide. The second slide, if you just toggle, is where you're actually going to write your draft statement. And so with that, I'm going to stop sharing really quick. I will go ahead and put the link in the chat so you guys can join.
Hannah, do you want to explain how to use the link in the chat?
Sure. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm sharing the Jamboard with you. And so I know a lot of you used this for the R3 meeting last week, which was phenomenal. I think it went off really well. And so what you'll do is you'll just click on that link and get into Jamboard. And then when I send you to your breakout rooms, your facilitator is going to tell you which group you're part of so that you can make sure you're on the right slide. Are there any questions at this time before we send you guys off? Okay, clear as mud, huh? All right, we'll have some fun with this. I do want to say, let's be back here. Let's be back here by 3 o'clock. It's 2:32 right now. If you get done early, go ahead and take a break and come back, okay? All right, I'm gonna open all the rooms now. I wanted to stick around for just a moment. Glenda, I know you're supposed to be here. Kevin, I think I assigned you to room. Okay, he's good. Nope. Oh. Room 1. Are you seeing that pop up on your screen?
No.
Glenda, I didn't assign you anything, but I assigned Jim Douglas and Kevin.
Gotcha.
Those are the only 2 I'm seeing that are not joined. Okay.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and go to my room, okay?
Okay.
All right.
I'll monitor the chat for anything.
Thank you.
Kevin, did you want to join a group?
Yeah, if I could. I'm lost.
Let me see. You are supposed to be in team 1, so let me see if I can send you there, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, you are assigned. There you go. Now you're in. Welcome back, Group 1. Some of the other groups are still spending a few more minutes finishing up their draft statements.
That's because we're overachievers. We're just really good.
It's great. Looking at the Jamboards, there's all kinds of very interesting things. So very, very good exercise, it looks like.
Except for Michelle Stryker, the Jamboard, I'm logged into the Jamboard and I am not seeing the same thing that you were showing on your screen.
Yeah. Really, you were not in group 1 on there?
Well, so you were sharing your screen and on there and you had it worded right, but when I go in, it's like there's only one parenthesis thing and it's like it's missing a part. I don't it looked good when you had it on your screen and you're sharing it, but it's not what I'm seeing on the Jamboard.
Okay, Linda, can you look on board 1, second slide? Does it show a completed?
It says, create a future that inspires a diverse and inclusive group of outdoor enthusiasts to become, then there's a parentheses.
Yeah, yep, it does then.
That are advocates for conservation, recreational participation, and healthy environments.
It's missing the to be aware or whatever. Something else. It's not.
Let me see if I can stretch. Well, no, when I stretch out the box, it doesn't add any more words, so it's not like something got covered up.
What does yours say, Michelle?
All right, hold on. I'm going back to it. Create a future that inspires a diverse and inclusive group of outdoor enthusiasts and it to become, and what it missing some things.
But it was there and now it's not there.
I think we were just going to have to become advocates. So we would remove that R in the parenthesis. But then we could I think it could be R as well.
Right, that's what we had in parentheses. We said R or remain.
Well, we're missing a parenthesis.
Not a word. Or and remain.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, I don't.
I have now.
There we go.
I fixed it.
Yep.
There we go. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you for catching that.
All right.
Michelle, I have to sign off for the day.
I'm sad. Okay.
Yeah.
That's very, very helpful.
Thanks, you. We'll keep you posted.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Yep.
All right.
I'm going to post a message.
Where are the rest of the groups going? How are they doing?
Seems like some of them are wrapping up, but I'm going to send out a message to ask the rest of the groups to wrap it up.
Yep, we are, our break will only now be about 5 minutes.
Another one that you guys really kind of
once they come back.
Anybody else?
Did you see the message come up, Michelle?
I did.
Okay. Yeah. I saw one Hannah posted earlier, but I didn't see where it posted my message. So just checking.
So Glenda, we were gonna try to get the draft statements up in 5 minutes. That means we will have to open up the PowerPoint and do it that way. Can you open it up while I'm still sharing, or do we need to just stop sharing?
Let me see if I can pull it up. It will only let me open it read only while you have it open. The PowerPoint itself.
Okay. All right. Well, give me a minute.
Yeah.
days and locations part is a little chunky.
All right, I have just closed out of it.
Okay.
Get into it.
Here.
Did you broadcast that message to everyone?
It should have broadcast to all the participants.
After they do this, we're gonna close up the rooms in that time frame.
Yes. Okay. So here is group 1. How can I pop it into? Oh, no, wrong thing. Won't let me copy and paste that way. And now I just covered it up. Delete that one. Well, now why won't it let me copy and paste like it did earlier? Yeah, it just wants to move the whole thing as a text box.
It'd be easier just to copy it and not you deal with the text box.
That's what I was trying to do, but whenever I try to copy the paste or copy it, see, it just wants to move around the whole. All right, so we will just do this. Just typing it in.
That's probably the best.
Yep.
It does look like some others have gotten their slides, their vision statement done. I just don't know where they are. Meaning, did they haven't come back to the main group?
Got 3 screens and it always fits the. Everybody happy with the. I have noticed that too, and that no, it thumbs up, thumbs down.
Okay.
Yep, and what will happen is we'll break ours to the table with the whole group.
Yeah, it looks like these folks are still in their room, so.
This way. All right, people are starting to move back.
Yep, I see some people coming back in. It's going to take me just a moment to type these in.
Yeah. All right. Starting to see everyone come back in. Excellent. All right, how many have we? Oh, we have 25. Oh, we're moving. Well, you guys, for the 28 or so of you that are online, we're going to take about a 3 to 5 minute break. We'll say 5 minutes. We'll take a 5-minute break, and then so we can take the time to get all the vision statements onto a screen, so we can share with you what those vision statements are, and then we will move forward from that. But right now, 5-minute break, so please return at 3:20.
Welcome back from break. So these are the draft vision statements that everybody came up with. And I have to say, I want to applaud each of you for going through this. It isn't as easy as it sounds. And so we've got some really great information on the Jamboard in addition to the drafts that you just created and that are going to be instrumental for the goal creation for this process. And so what I want to point out is, you guys can read through these on your screen, but you're going to see these exact statements on our engagement website, our Conveo website that we're making for R3. And we'll talk a little bit more about that after the next exercise. But I wanted to close this discussion by just saying good job. And when you see these on Conveo, you'll be able to vote for which one you think should propel us forward. And so again, kudos to everybody for going through this process and really digging into the Jamboard and providing a lot of different information. And so Michelle, I'll turn it over to you if you want to take the reins. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Hannah, for all of that. I know that was a hard thing, but you guys did a great job. We're going to move on to our next exercise because we want to keep things moving. So, it's very important to us as an agency to look at not only where we've been, but where we're going. Most of you guys have had the experience of going through a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats exercise. When it all boils down is something that I have learned, our strengths are our weaknesses, our opportunities are our threats, everything seems to be the same. And so you have two really pillars of things, good things and bad things. So instead of going through the whole SWOT analysis, we're going to move through the opportunities and the challenges. It's important for us to recognize, understand, and note those opportunities and challenges that we face in R3 because it shows us what we've learned, how we've grown and changed, and what we want to focus on for the future. So how are we going to use this information when we go through the exercise? Well, we're going to use this in a couple of ways. The core team is going to look at these opportunities and challenges and look at creating goals that address the opportunities and challenges. The content team is going to use these opportunities and challenges to potentially write actions and strategies on how we're going to meet the goals. So it's really a good process that's going to be helpful for several different things that we're going to use it for. So this is another Jamboard exercise, and it is more of an individual exercise. So if we were in person, we'd have all these sticky walls that people would go and smack down with ideas of opportunities and challenges for each different pillar, but we're not in person. So I had to look at a way of what would be the easiest way to do this. So we've created a Jamboard for that. And so I will put in the chat the Jamboard that you'll go to, and in just a minute we'll go to that Jamboard. But hopefully it works. I hope it does work. If not, Hannah or Aaron or one of my teammates will save me. But what we're going to do is there's 2 slides for each pillar for opportunities. There's 2 slides for challenges for each pillar. So boating, fishing, shooting, that kind of thing. Thank you, Aaron, for pushing that on there. So what we're going to do is, the reason I have 2 slides is because, as you guys know, I don't know about you, but in my group for the Jamboard for visioning, we filled that entire thing up, and there was only 12 of us. So I've made additional slides for each one. So there's 2 pages for opportunities for boating, 2 pages of threats or of challenges for boating. So visit every board when you're going through this exercise and go through each board and provide input for it. However, if you go to a board, a pillar, and you don't really know any of the challenges, say for example about voting, then move on to a different page. It's okay. You don't have to have input for every single thing. Some of you have more expertise in different places, but please try to hit each and every one of them, and really think about the following question. So the following question is what you need to think about when you are writing on the Jamboard, is when you're thinking about R3 with each pillar, what are the opportunities and challenges that we're going to be facing in the next 5 years? So with that, I want to invite you to go into the next Jamboard. We will take 30 minutes for this tops. I will kind of be sharing my screen as you guys are participating, and just kind of see how it goes. That if you guys don't need 30 minutes, then we won't do 30 minutes. But if you do, we'll do that. Okay? Let's go to that. Yes.
Hey, everyone, I just wanted to also mention that you're not restricted to only providing one sticky per slide. So if you've got a ton of opportunities and challenges that you've got for fishing, please put as many as you can think of on there. You're not limited. And so that's it.
So excellent that I see a first thing of explosion of paddlecraft. I like the idea of expanded rowing sports education. You're right, kayaks are cheap. I'm going to move to another slide to see if anybody's working on any other slides. Ooh, lots in hunting. Oh, the boat boating challenges. Excellent, guys. That's exciting. Great that we've started on the fishing side. You're right, water is open 24/7, 365. Looks like we got a lot going in the hunting side too. Excellent. I really like whoever hit on the raw opportunity of funding, so that's a good thing to identify. Don't forget that there's a second page for each of the sheets, so don't have to go crazy on just one. There's a second page. I'm guessing the Great Horseback Trails might come from Suzanne. Am I right about that? You're absolutely right.
You are correct.
I like that you guys are you're recognizing the lack of staffing over in the parks arena. We definitely have been talking a lot about that, and I'm glad that you identified that as one of our challenges.
I just want to point out what a stellar group this is. Oftentimes it's so easy for us to come up with those challenges, but it becomes a little more difficult to think about the opportunities. And you guys are rocking it. So good job.
Okay, it makes me giggle a little bit that someone said make fish less slimy. We need a new hybrid. Very good. Now you can just also find bait that doesn't wiggle and squirm while I put it on its hook. That would be all right too. Thanks for moving over to the second page for challenges for parks, because we're getting full on the first page. Excellent. It's amazing how fast it is that you guys fill these boards up. I just love the fact that we've only been in this for like 12 minutes and you guys have really just filled them completely almost. It's awesome. Well, I just scrolled over to the hunting challenges and I see access, 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 access. Do we think access might be a challenge? I think we'll do about 3 or 4 more minutes on this exercise. You guys are doing fantastic. All right, you guys, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up in about 30 seconds. I'll give you that 30 seconds to finish it up. All right, it's always amazing how fast it goes for that time where you guys are doing these exercises and getting all of that input. I wish we could be in person because it definitely creates those places that you have conversation that help frame everything that you're doing. But all of this information is going to be used by not only the writing content teams, but the core team, and it will be shared on our digital platform. So you guys will have the entire staff, agency staff, seeing what we put together. So we're going to move into, for the next steps, our goal creation. So that means this core team is going to start meeting, and we're going to create those goals from all the information that you provided us, and we'll bring that back to the group in November. And we want to engage the entire agency. So we're creating a website. You've been hearing a little bit about this, pretty frequently this afternoon about we're creating a website or a digital platform, or what is this? So we have a digital platform called Conveo that we have purchased the software for use for the agency. And that can be an internal use or that can be an external use. We've already used it when we had a open house for Fort Kearney in the Kearney area to get more input from as opposed to just the open house in person. We wanted to engage others, and we received a lot of feedback through our website that way. And so we want to do that internally as well. So after this meeting, or probably it'll be Monday or Tuesday, maybe Wednesday of next week, depending on if we can get everything going, we will go live with an internal site that provides all of the staff that have emails, an opportunity to provide feedback on the activities we did today, what the R3 plan is, why are we doing it, all of that information. They'll rank those visioning statements that we have so we can determine which one resonates most with the staff. And they will also have the opportunity to add their input to the opportunities and challenges Jamboards that we've done. Glenda's now going to give you a sneak peek of that page and kind of share with you some helpful hints on how to use it and maneuver through it. We plan to put some type of resource or interactive activity for the staff to use every month, and that's going to help inform the writing teams and the core team on how to write this plan. We hope that the content writing teams will use this to poll the staff, ask questions to the staff, and get information and feedback from that. It's definitely going to be, I think, a really great thing for the future of our agency. And, this is the planning plug. If you are interested in utilizing Conveo for your own purposes, give us a shout and we'll see what we can do. So Glenda, I'm going to stop sharing now and you can start sharing yours.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. As Michelle said, my name is Glenda Wood, and I am the administrative specialist here for the planning and programming team. And I have been working behind the scenes to get our platform set up. And as you can see, right up here at the top, you'll see our logo and what we have named this site. And our tagline, our platform for participation, your input is needed. And that is really critical. As Michelle has mentioned, we plan to use this site throughout the entire planning process, posting up different interactive activities that can be done, sharing out portions of the plan as it's created, and then eventually the draft plan will be shared here for review as well. So I'm just going to scroll down a little bit. You'll see we have some general information because really right now, to start with, our main goal is to share this out to the rest of the agency because you all have been involved in the activities that have happened today. So we have a little bit of background information about just what R3 is, where we've been, why are we doing this, who's involved. As you continue to scroll down, you'll see this kind of a separation banner. And here is where I plan that we will post that information that may change monthly. So today we did the kickoff meeting. So we've got some information about the kickoff. Here is some background information about the vision statement activity that you all worked through today. What I want you to look for is this red button that says explore, because there is where we will probably share the documents or the activities that we will be wanting additional information from people. And so as an example, we were able to, I was able to pull Michelle's slide from the PowerPoint, and here are the first draft vision statements that were created today. Here on the left, you'll notice there's a blue button. So our blue icons will typically be where we'll put some instructions about how do you participate in this. When you click on that, you'll see I've added some text. Here we will provide more information on what type of participation we're looking for. So we may have various documents that will be asking you to rank. We may have some information and we want some comments back from you. We may have some photos. We're going to ask you to do a thumbs up or thumbs down. Those are just some examples of different things that we may share on this. And then, as with other similar sites, look for the X to kind of click out of that area that you're in. One of the most important things that we use this site for is collecting comments on some of the documents that we share. And it's very easy to add comments to the documents that we post up here. You'll see here at the top, it says just select a bubble to add your comment. And literally, you just click on the document, it posts up a little bubble. We are asking, the first time you come in, it may populate with your name and email. We understand that we're all internal on this site, but it is nice to know who's making the comments. And if you start commenting back and there's some discussion going on, it's nice to be able to follow that thread and see whose comments were whose. And so this will pop up. Basically, you can just type in your comments. It will ask you if you're a robot or not. This is just one of the security features that Conveo has in there. So I hope that this will not irritate folks as they're providing comments in here.
What if you are a robot?
Well, you're an intelligent robot if you're adding comments on our site.
And we appreciate your comments, then they're important. We need to get you out fishing.
And so then I'm going to click on add comment. You'll see up here, it puts my comment. I'll close this box and you'll start to see these little bubbles pop up. Earlier, we had a placeholder document up there that Skylar, Aaron, and I had gone in and practiced posting some of these comments on. But as you have your comment here, if you wanted to reply, again, it'll pop up a box. I'm going to hit reply. And so there you start to see the thread of the comments that could be posted on there. This site has several different features. The commenting is one. There's also a feature called discussion boards. And some of our activities later down the road may involve discussion boards, which are more of a back and forth feature discussing around a certain item or topic. Another thing to note, at the top of the documents, we will typically always list a back button. So you would just click on that to go back to the main page. And at some point, we may have many documents in here. And so we will put in pins that will direct you from page to page. But also know you can always come right up here to the logo, click on that, and that will bring you right back into the home page. It's fairly simple and intuitive to use. We do plan to notify staff through email when we have posted up new information that we're looking for participation in. So that's kind of a quick tutorial of the site. You'll see we popped in a placeholder for the opportunities and challenges, but we'll be taking some of the information from the Jamboards to place into here as well. And then also at the very bottom, I have listed a document that will show you all of the teams. And I also made this document downloadable. So if you wanted to download and print it off, and then you would know who was on which teams. So that's the brief tutorial I have about our Conveo site. And as we get it ready to go live and share it out with people, just watch for that email with more information. All right. I'm going to stop sharing, Michelle, so you can go back.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions on that? All right. I'm not seeing any. If so, put them in the chat or anything like that. Amazingly enough, we set this meeting for a 4-hour meeting. And one of planning's goals is to always get you out earlier than we promised. And so honestly, we're to the last little bit of our presentation and engagement for today's kickoff meeting. And that is to wrap things up. So with that, I first want to say to all of you, thank you so much for spending a few hours with us today, going over R3 and talking about how we're going to move forward in the future. It's always exciting to kick off a new planning process. I might be a little bit of a nerd and a little biased about those things, but I really feel like this is going to be a great collaborative process that the entire agency gets to participate in. So even if you aren't on a team, we're providing opportunity for the entire staff to provide insights and feedback on this. And we're excited to see each and every one of you on this team come forward in this process. We know that you guys are going to provide great insight, provide great content to the plan, and it's your plan. It's not planning division's plan. It's not Jeff Rollinson's plan. It's not, our consultant's plan. It honestly is your plan. And we're really excited that you're going to write this and create and direct our future on where we go for R3. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to our consultants to kind of do the little bit left of wrap up. Stephanie.
Thanks, Michelle. And I'll echo your comments to thank everyone for all their participation today. It's really interesting. Clearly, we would much prefer, or at least I'll speak for myself, to be there in person with you all and have those engaging conversations and to meet you all in person. And it's always interesting to see how these types of meetings can go in the virtual space, and you kind of worry about engagement levels. I have to say, I'm really impressed with the amount of engagement today from the groups I've been in, and seeing all those Post-its and stickies go up there on your jam boards. That's a fun process and fun to see how engaged everyone is in this as we're kicking things off. So for us and RBFF, from an outside perspective, it's really exciting, and we're glad to be a part of this with you all and here to support you along your journey. And it's always fascinating to learn how the processes work in each state and the thinking and the teams, and that's what makes my job so fun. And I'm glad to be here with you guys. And I'm going to ask Phil and Matt to chime in with whatever wrap up comments they want to make too. Phil, you're muted.
That means you have to speak first, Phil.
I know, I could only see Phil, sorry.
I was saying I give you the opportunity.
And you just screwed up.
I'm happy to go first. I'm really impressed by the day and by all of you. Michelle and the team can tell you when we were first talking about this session and what we we're going to try to cover, I was really worried about the timing. I think the virtual space makes this a challenge in so many ways. I still contend it's better in person, for other reasons, but I'm really impressed at the way it came together. I had listed at the top of the day kind of a handful of things that I thought if we could achieve, we'd be doing well. First was bringing folks to a common place, which I think Matt and Steph did a great job of that, as always. Setting some initial direction and expectation about the process is always super important part of planning, at least planning done well. And I thought that Michelle and the team did a great job of that. I think the most important part of the day was collecting information, collecting what I call the grist for what we will then use to build the plan out, what you will use to build the plan out. And the Jamboard exercise I thought went really well, better than I expected it would, quite honestly. So hats off to that. And then the final thing I was hoping we could do was to really engage the group. You never know what's going to happen, especially in the virtual environment. And if the participation in the Jamboard exercises is the indicator, and I guess it's the only indicator we can probably use, at least at this point, if it is one, it shows that people are really eager to participate and have really good things to offer. I was just kind of scanning back and forth the whole time among the Jamboards, especially in the last exercise, and really excellent material, fodder, which we'll then use to build it out. So really good job in that regard. And then I was told at the beginning that I'm not really a rah-rah kind of guy. So I'm going to try to prove that wrong now. So here's my my overall reaction to the day. So Michelle, that's about as good as I can do.
Now I'm really sorry I let you go first.
I gave you a chance, dude.
Excellent. And Matt, you have to beat that, man.
I mean, I can't. I should have gone out with a Super Bowl ring that I had. So, yes to all of that. I can never top a party favor. So, my thoughts are similar. I do want to give special commendation to Michelle and your team for doing this well. I have been a part of dozens of these in the past year. I am not blowing smoke when I tell you this is the best one that I've seen. The best engagement that I've seen. We're on the smoothest that I've seen. So I would actually disagree with my two other partners here in that I think virtual can be effective because you all proved it today. So, but here's my caveat. And those of the folks that know me, that praise is always followed by but be cautious. So the engagement was rich. I think all the answers are in the pages that you all listed. The challenge that I see is choosing the right ones and choosing the ones that are most in line with what we know. So there's all of us have experiences, and I saw you capture those experiences on those sheets. At the end of the day, let's remember we're dealing with a bunch of people that we don't know and we may not understand very well. So as you all go forward, my encouragement would be to remember David Hume when he said, truth springs from arguments among friends. Stay friends, but argue through this with compassion and patience, knowing that most of us don't know what we don't know, and challenge all your assumptions, provide critique, not criticism. And if you do all that, I think everything you need is already in there. So we'll be there to help in any way that we can. Please feel free to reach out. And again, I've never seen it done better. Nebraska's reputation, despite what everybody says about y'all, you have maintained it today.
Well, thank you so much, Matt, for the kind words. This has been a wonderful experience. It is just the kickoff. We're going to have great activities for everyone to do. The facilitators of these groups are going to rock it, and I'm just really excited to see where we go. So everybody keep your hats on, and as our director just said earlier, let's go. We're going to get this done. So thanks, everyone. Have a fantastic and beautiful day. Get out there and get outside, even if it is 88 degrees. The humidity is less, so it's awesome. So see you guys sometime soon.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Are we supposed to stay on?
Yes. We can actually, let's, yeah.